Hello to everyone. That's actually my second shot of filming May tour for you. The first one I filmed at the beginning of this week, but in a matter of 1 week, everything has changed. That's why I can't literally show what I filmed before because it's not relevant anymore. There are more changes that I would like to show. Probably I will combine these two videos, this one that implemented that one, but in this attempt I'm going to dwell more on the changes that happened on the plot. Well, yeah, the sun is so high even though it's an early morning.
Everything that I filmed was filmed before that terrible storm that raged in our region. At the end of this tour, I'm going to show the consequences of the storm.
Have been busy with planting. Here at the beginning of May we have a series of holidays. They're called like May Labor Days or May holidays in May. 3-4 days when people don't work but mostly dedicate their time to planting. That's actually my position. Of course there are a lot of people who don't have gardens, but in such an area, especially in villages, these days in May are very important for sowing, for cultivating. We've done a lot. My mom had rather long holidays, so to speak, and we managed to do a good portion of work. We have first blossom, and these are plums, and there are so many bees circling in here, so it's just a small spot of paradise. The buzzing of the bees, so beautiful. Literally it bloomed in a matter of 2 days. That is a newly created patch. We actually never planted anything in here because of the cherry that was sitting. But here we're going to have leek, that is leek, and onion. I've planted it, I think, 4 days ago. Nothing visible still. These are plums as well, but they're not in blossom yet. This one I think is not willing to bloom this year, but this one is ready to go. Yeah, there are blossom buds. And also I have a small experiment of mine. That's my first grafting experience. I thought that nothing will work out, and I decided to graft a plum to that one which is sitting next to this one. I thought that I still need to remove it, and why not have a try. And look at that. I think grafting is successful. I will be splitting them so that to plant it. That is honeysuckle. I planted it last year. I thought that it's going to die actually, because I planted 3 varieties. One of them is gone. This one I think is good, and this one is actually in blossom. I've never had honeysuckle in here. Recently we are having a trend of planting honeysuckle on the plots. Many people started acquiring them and planting them. That is also a plum, but comparing to that one's, I'm not sure it's feeling good, but who knows. We'll see what will be with it. That's a pear which I removed from this spot. By the way, the water is gone totally, but we decided to make a small pond in here, so digging every now and then is something that I do. That is chokeberry bush. This one, the only example on my plot, which I really love for its berries. And that's the pear. No blossom yet, but it is about to bloom. But I don't rush it because it's very kind of dangerous to have frosts. We're still in the scare of frosts, of returning frosts, so you Just don't rush. The walnut is still there. And if you remember, I told you that we're having a problem with it. I have no idea how it's going to feel this year. But we have young ones coming up. Hope everything will be fine with it. These are the grapes. This one is about to open up its buds. These are the strawberries. Recently I took care of them. I removed all the dried leaves. And just in here, if you remember, especially that second one, that second patch we had water, I thought that we aren't going to have strawberries this year. But you know what, they're feeling totally fine. And also this patch. These ones are actually younger than those ones. Also feeling fine. As for the patches of my mom's brother, if you're worried about his garlic and onion, they're fine. So water is gone and they're feeling okay. But my garlic is better, you know. Remember that hosta that I bought? Well, here it is. It already has a bit of pattern. I thought it won't show its pattern because it has to kind of sit in the ground for a little bit longer, at least for the second year. But look how beautiful is that. And that is the hostas. They are appearing, those that my godmother gave us. And also I prepared this land soil because it's so good. It's next to the barn, it is protected from the winds, and in most of the cases it's a very good spot for hostas. So I'm going to probably buy 2 more hostas and plant here. The flower patch has definitely changed. We are having peonies appearing. I love them actually. I would like to have more varieties. And there are a number of lilies, if you can see them clearly. My mom actually was surprised that there are so many lilies that appeared. She was like scratching her head and kind of thinking hard, what type of varieties of lilies are they? She has no idea, so we're going to check that. And now what's the interesting part is that that's a kind of an open flower patch. It's not so much protected from the winds in here. And the peonies, just even judge by looking at them, are that high. But let's go to the patch which is protected from the winds, this one, and look at the peonies here. What a difference. So if you have a protected spot from the winds, you definitely have to plant something here, because it's better. It's definitely better. That's why we decided to plant basil in here. You know, it's such a pity that the primrose is such a beautiful and early flower, early color that you get during early spring. But, you know, they lose their color so quickly. And we've also planted white variety. It's still struggling, but it will be okay. We borrowed it from my godmother, so it will be like that. And also we borrowed fern from my godmother. It's so unusual how it's shooting up. It has a sort of a head in here and it goes like this. These are apricots planted from the pits. They're growing higher, but also the hair damaged it. Yeah, it damaged almost every single one because every apricot has to be that high. But it was delicious for him to taste it. Well, I've only noticed that lavender started shooting up. That's so gorgeous. This bush is older than that small one, but it's also shooting, which means it has rooted. That's a good sign. Already we've planted potatoes in here as well. And that's something that we did during those holidays. In here, as a protection, like the polytunnel is going to be a protection for it. I planted leek, celeriac, and that's already I think I mentioned that. We planted here beetroot and carrots. If you remember this apple tree, there was kind of a small disaster that happened to it. The hare tasted the bark, and I've put the paste on, and I thought that I would say goodbye to it. Well, I'm not sure whether it's going to heal. Well, let's probably try and see what's up with the bark. Well, yeah, it doesn't grow bark yet, so it's just, yeah, the bites, but they are not so fresh as they used to be. So you just can return back. You can return back to that video and look at that, what he did. Yeah, I hope it will help. But the point is that it's shooting up, and we are going to have flowers. And they're so unusual. I mean, like, they're at the top of the branches of the shoots. How come? But this variety is my beloved one. That's the sweetest variety. I can't even translate it from Russian. In Russian, it's called розовый налив. It's like a pink, an apple of pink variety, small and sweet, only for the eating purposes. It's not like for making something of it, just for eating. In here we're going to have onion. My mom is a big fan of onion. And here I've planted cucumbers under the cover, of course. This patch I think will be probably for watermelon. And also in there yesterday I've planted courgettes. These ones will be very interesting. They're decorative but also very sweet, so I like to see them. And also protective cover, because still the nights are cold. And in here we have potatoes, the leftovers of them. And we decided to cover it with the straw so that not to dig out weeds, of course. And also following my idea of enriching the soil. I think that lemon balm is growing with every single second. Isn't that beautiful? By the way, that tea that I made from that fresh lemon balm I picked up was heavenly delicious. These are the grapes that I tried to root, the leftovers of them. So we planted them in here till autumn, or probably next year. That's a long process, indeed. And now let's go to the Polytunnel. The Polytunnel is kind of ambiguous, but I know that is something that's happening to almost everyone who plant peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers and everything that early into the polytunnel. So I am calm about what's happening in there. I need to plant it to the polytunnel a little bit later, not that early. And also it's because of this spring that the area was flooded, including the polytunnel. That's why definitely it affected the plants in there. The plants in the polytunnel. So in the middle you can see tomatoes. They're definitely feeling better, even though the leaves, which are at the bottom, they're not okay, especially these ones with white patches on them. It's because of cold nights. And these ones are cherries, and they're growing so good. I'm so happy about them because I can already, yeah, can you see? It's sun's going to bloom. For me, that's insane. For the person who has been growing tomatoes in the open for my own life, these varieties are going to be the highest of them all. I've realized that only after I've read the package from Seeds. And also we have a bit of tomatoes in here because I didn't kind of allocate space properly. And also they're going to be that hard variety that I planted in here as well. And as an experiment yesterday, I planted a tomato of a small variety, a mini tomato. Like, you don't have to look after it, you don't have to remove the shoots, and it will grow like that. And I decided to give it a shot and see what's going to happen with it. There we have peppers, and I replanted another varieties, but not all of them. I will just show the ones that remained from the very first, even before the flood, from the very first planting. Yeah, they may not feel better. I planted this one yesterday, so it's better. And also I covered everything with the grass. Eggplants are in here. This one started growing leaves, and even we have first flower, so it is feeling better. The adaptation period in the polytunnel is longer. And in here I planted, also for an experiment, these are 2 melons. I covered it from the sun because I planted it yesterday and it doesn't feel well in the sun, so it lost its leaf, but the middle is okay. That one I planted a week ago. It's also struggling, but I can see a bit of growth in here. And I planted this one yesterday. That's a watermelon, a grafted watermelon. By the way, this year is so unsuccessful in terms of graftings. I do the same technique, but the result, I mean, like, you can judge, that's almost the only successful grafted watermelon, but I'm trying. And under the cover, we have primarily, I started planting cucumbers. By the way, that's my first experience, but probably, you know what? I think that's because of the frost, but can you tell me, maybe it's not the frost at all? Why? The plants, literally every single plant turns white. What's the problem? Because I think that's the first thing I can see in the polytunnel. I didn't experience something like that in the open. Well, I think that will be it for the May tour. You know what I like? The feeling when you step from the polytunnel outside, because it's so hot in here. It's the same feeling as if walking from the sauna into fresh and cold air, so it's refreshing. Everything is developing so quickly. Spring is late this year and I didn't have enough of it, but I'm so excited about what's going to happen with the plants in the polytunnel, as well as with everything I've already planted in here. Literally, it's so beautiful. I love this period. I will be back with more videos of my garden, so stay tuned. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.
That day when I finished filming this May tour actually was the day before the storm. I was looking at the sky and it was so unusual. My godmother always used to say that these types of clouds are actually the messengers of showers. They were everywhere. In the next 24 hours, the storm was raging our region. I wasn't in the village during that day, and thanks God because it would scare me to death. Electricity and mobile services were switched off for several hours, and my thoughts were with the polytunnel, because I left both of the windows open in there. The speed of the wind was 28 meters per second. As a result, we have lots of trees uprooted next to our plot. The row of willows is growing on the western part of our plot from which the storm came. All of them lost a number of branches that covered our entire plot. Our neighbors lost a roof in their house. Luckily, everyone is alive and no one is hurt. As for the Polytunnel, it's a complete mystery. People from our region posted a number of videos of flying polytunnels after the storm. When the storm calmed down, my mum checked on the polytunnel. And guess what? It was standing, with both of the windows open and branches inside the polytunnel. I checked everything else around. All of the trees are fine. I think that the willows and all other trees around our plot served as a shield in this situation. They are all broken, but our plot is intact.